Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on in here. We are going to be getting into this game very, very quickly, folks. So apologies for the brief, short intro. We weren't sure exactly when we get started. Then everything started moving at 100 miles an hour. So we want to make sure we can get this game underway ASAP. But I am Zepcast, folks. And with me today is the Hyperactive. How you doing, my friend? Excited to get into this one today?
I'm feeling pumped. We're going into Group B of a rematched, or rescheduled game that was supposed to be going ahead for the Elite. So the fact, the fact we're back and we've gained the reins of an Elite game is pretty blessed, to say so myself, and especially being alongside you, Zep. I think we've crossed paths God knows how many times and still haven't worked together. This is a first for us.
Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah, if we did work together, it is genuinely only been once, and it has been a long time ago. So it's an absolute pleasure to finally be doing it here on a grand stage like Elite. So thank you all very much for giving us this opportunity to do this and to be able to work together and bring this game to you. And I'm seeing the followers just come on in as well. We really do appreciate all the love and support that you are showing here. But you're here for the game, so we're going to give you a very, very quick rundown of the two teams that we have in store for you today. So Light Unlimited versus ROC Esports. Here we go with the first roster, Light Unlimited.
Yeah, so we've got Aiden, Kleem, Danny, and Zidix. Of course, if we do pronounce these slightly wrong, please let us know for later dates. Going in for the Light Unlimited squad. They're currently 0-2 within their group, so not looking at the best of days, and definitely an improvement needed on their side, and hoping to at least take down the big old champs right next to them of ROC Esports, who we are contenders.
Yeah, so looking forward to getting into this one. And folks, we are going to cut really, really quickly to ROC Esports as well, because we are actually in lobby ready to get underway. So we'll make this one rapid. Look at these guys. Yeah. Beautiful. Doom, Kicks, or Dom, should I say. Dom, Kicks, Doom, and Raid. I mean, just look. Fantastic players. Really looking forward to seeing how they perform. But apologies for the rush. We got to get straight into it. Game number one.
Yeah, and off to the races, the fine gentlemen go, and first attack will always be at the center of P1, and I say this in every game, and just to remind everybody here, it's all about positioning over necessarily the actual point in itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Positioning is so important early on. You know, you're fighting for that P1, but realistically P2 is very, very important. You got to make sure that you're anchored towards those spawns as quickly as you could be. ROC Esports getting pushed through, getting some nice initial time here, but a checkerboarded kill feed means that Light Unlimited are going to at least have an attempt at pushing them off it. But with that checkerboarded kill feed, it's majority of the time working well for ROC, who are now getting the chance to hold on. But it has to be said, Light Unlimited are going to be happy with where they're set up at the moment. They have those P2 spawns on lock. We're going to see how ROC will be able to rotate around.
Yeah, they've got to push through, because Light have been very cautious not to overextend. Yeah, they're still trying to get presence of that P1, but priority was all down in that bottom left, and in doing so, they have allowed this pinch maneuver, which you can see Aiden getting a pick to open things up, and just like that, immediately when ROC tries to push in, nothing comes from it, and that dominant defensive line from Light keeps them alive.
Yeah, I mean, so far, ROC are trying to get themselves in. Raid with that 3. I mean, that was just absolutely fantastic there. 8-4. What a terrific start. Continuing to push on through, trying to get those spawns, but eventually getting taken out. But I mean, talk about brute forcing your way through the back from the front. But I'm really loving this frontal pressure from ROC. They are making it work for them and eventually flipping the spawns, already proving to be incredibly dangerous.
Yeah, aggression's been the key thing from ROC, and this has come from other games as well. It's just aggression, 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 and hey, if you have to push your way in, you got to bully it, and that's how they've been playing. And eventually, Light are just overwhelmed with the number of people when they just keeps coming at them. Though that ROC needs to be careful not to aggress one by one, as you can start to see Light taking advantage of this P3 from where ROC are just individually pushing in. I say that works as well. As a 3-piece comes into the feed and all 4 completely pushed off, and ROC will take the point.
Yeah, I mean, look, ROC doing a great job here at the moment of being able to flood on through, as we see Dom just desperately trying to hold on to this point. Great performance from the boys so far, as they look more and more confident as it goes on.
a lot of confidence, and we are seeing the ROC of this common theme of breaking into these sites. They start off by losing the first wave, but it's almost like they're just working out what is going on, and then very quickly they just figure out where that little bit of problem is, where that opening is, and takes advantage. So that is what they're looking to do, though this time round ROC does have positioning over in the 4th point, and they can take advantage of the little flustered Light Unlimited.
Yeah, absolutely. A little flustered, and apologies, folks, as well. Just getting the word from production in the ear, making sure that we're getting the lobby code stuff covered, because there's a couple of naughty people out there making lives a little bit miserable for us, making sure we have to get those things covered. So, again, apologies for that, but it's covered for now. It's doing the job as ROC Esports continuing to do the job themselves. 60-point lead and growing, as they are just dominant right now. On the KD perspective, they are flying through. They've got complete map control. Even when they're not directly on spawns, they just ultimately get in and get a point flooded. It is clinical. It is just a matter of time for them, it seems, as hardpoint really seems to be the mode that they are reveling in right now. Light Unlimited barely getting a look in, as what was a 60-point lead is on its way to becoming a 100-point lead if Light Unlimited can't slow this bleeding.
Yeah, and a lot of it is due to RXLD. We'll call him LD because God knows how to pronounce that, and please tell me how to say this. But LD has been able to withstand and stand alone, a beautiful anchor onto point. We've seen him perform doubles upon triples all by himself. So you've got to find a way to get rid of LD, and that's exactly the first thing that Light Unlimited does do. Get rid of the danger, the force that comes in, but they're only leaving one person on point. As Quicks will get a 2 off his name. Can he find a third? He'll get a third, but eventually it will be taken down as Kicks will quickly come in and do a full sweep.
Yeah, I mean, it just, as I said, matter of time. Once again, you get a certain amount of time, but already ROC Esports have proved that Light Unlimited are not going to be able to get clean 60s at any point in this map. They are always going to contest for that scrap time. They are always going to make life difficult. So Light Unlimited need to make sure that they're rotating well to get as much time as they can, because otherwise they're in situations exactly like this, away from the point, trying to kind of push through the front, but you see all angles being watched by ROC Esports, and as soon as they have an awareness of where people are coming from, you look at number 3, Doom, just cutting back in, getting ready to watch the flank over on the top, and just getting ready to be a thorn in the side of a Light Unlimited that are trying to get their push tight on through the front. It's a terrific play from ROC, where they're just completely shutting down Light Unlimited, just having complete map awareness at all times.
Yeah, and a double as we just quickly flicked off Doom, and that is brilliant map awareness. He's not over-aggressing too far. He knows he needs to keep the spawns to the right, and in doing so, able to pick off a couple more. He's on 5. Make that 6. Oh my. Get him off the server, please, Light. You've got to find something, because Doom is playing the central position like a pro. He's got full map control, and he's gonna have the flank as well, and that's another. Make it 7. He keeps on going.
Yeah, and we just got to stay in this POV, really, because you look at the position that he has picked up now, just purely to be a thorn in the side of Light Unlimited, and now actually going to have spawns as well for P4. So going over the 200-point mark now and getting ready for that rotation over the side. Kicks is going to be able to pick up 1, nearly 2, but Zidix doing a great job of picking up 1 there, ultimately getting shredded. But ROC Esports still completely in the driver's seat here, as they will now be looking to move over to P4, which, you know, again, 30 seconds left on this one, but a nice little combination of the two is going to be the nail in the coffin for this map, as ROC Esports look like they're going to take this one confidently.
Confidently is an understatement. Putting Light Unlimited in the 100-point club is almost just taking the head of somebody and chucking it into the poo that they just shat out themselves. It is horrible, because Doom's on a 10 spree. How are we missing this? What is this man had for breakfast? He's clearly had his Weetabix for sure. He's gone from a 7-piece to a 10-piece.
And you know what has to be said as well? Like we have to point out as well, over a minute in Hill, right? You know, so he's not just kind of skimming around the edge, picking up kills, eventually getting dropped, but having 1 minute in Hill and 22 and 15 on that 10 spree. I mean, that is just absolutely phenomenal stuff, really. take a bow, ROC. You are having a phenomenal map number 1, whereas for Light Unlimited, they have been trying, they've had their moments, but they need to grow a lot more into this series if they want any chance, because you got LD as well, 32 and 19 with nearly 2 minutes in hill. Consistency throughout the map, and ROC Esports are reaping the rewards of it. 4 points left to go, but for almost what feels like the first time in this map, they've actually been successfully pushed off a point, and Light Unlimited should be able to hold the scrap.
Yeah, early on, Light Unlimited did have good presence, good control, did put up a good fight against ROC on that P2 site on the first rotation, but after that, it just slowly faded away. But yeah, I agree. The first time we're seeing them show a bit of presence, we don't allow LD control. I've told you before, when you have mid position, LD is the king. That's his domain. You don't allow him there. Thankfully, they're able to push off, and Light are making a comeback of a century. If they're able to keep this going and keep this pressure up, who knows what we could see the scoreline become.
Surely, though, the break does come through, and it has, and just like that, 250 to 120, map number 1 going the way of ROC Esports, confidently so. We've seen some positives from Light Unlimited at the end, but it was not enough. They only can take that going into the rest of the series, because for this map, it is already done. 250 to 120, terrific performance.
It was fun. It was a masterclass, and the one bit I was literally about to write down before it was thrown to me was sightlines. There's something that ROC just had in the bag. They positioned themselves where they could cover multiple angles, but give themselves good cover. Hence why we were starting to see Doom really get beautiful streaks coming from it. He positioned himself first of all right where P1 was situated, and just carefully sightlined himself between 2 positions, one looking over to the pathway to P4 and the other into the open room next to it. And that, with the knowledge of his team sitting over at P2 and then rotated to P3, gave him that comfort that he could look in those 2 directions. So you have sightlines, but then you've also got your teammates' comfortability that's behind you. And then pushing into that 10 piece that came afterwards. P3, quite an open site, 3 pathways you can enter with a lack of cover. However, he was able to find the one cover which was presented to him, and once again use the comfort of his team to know that he could put his back to P3 and then look ahead towards P4 and start building up the numbers of kills. So I love what the ROC were doing in trusting somebody to be ahead, to create the pressure that we were feeling, while still locking down the site if someone was to try and come from a different direction.
Yeah, I mean, look, it was just, I think, a phenomenal performance from ROC Esports on the overall, right? And, you know, I think from this perspective, you got to say, ROC Esports, they're looking clinical, they're looking dominant. The way that they've played has been fantastic. You know, it's hard to pick a specific area you could say they were great at in comparison, because I think it's a culmination of all areas is what made it such a clinical victory. But, you know, you're the side of Light Unlimited, you've lost your first map, you may feel a little bit like the underdog going into the rest of the series. You've now got to sort of restructure for how you go forward, and you got to take the small victories from what just happened, right? So, and the small victories I think Light Unlimited can take from that is that, granted, while ROC may have taken their foot off the gas pedal, again, only speculation, but Light Unlimited were able to get themselves a little bit of control towards those last couple of points, actually successfully play off a couple of kills, get a little bit of time, granted, only worth about 20-30 seconds, you know, on the overall, but they started to play with just a little bit more confidence, where they were actually able to puncture holes in the shape of ROC Esports and not have it just be a hole on the map that was perfect from the word go. So look, I think there are plenty of positives that both teams can take from here. Light Unlimited, I think, going into a different map mode combination can certainly do the job against this side of ROC Esports, but ROC Esports, looking confident, I think, are really going to be happy with where they're positioned going into the rest of this series.
Yeah, and also when you move into a different map as well, you get a different sense. Take into account we're going to raid a common map that, you know, if you've been playing Black Ops 2, you know what raid is, you know how to play it, you know how to move around it. But also it's the game mode as well. And I feel that once we got to that latter end, I do agree. ROC looked like they slowed down. They changed that tempo for the final time and decided, you know what, let's play a bit slower, let's play a bit methodical to close this out. and Light took advantage of it. So with Search and Destroy, it is a slower pace game mode that will allow people to be more methodical, find that tactical area, be able to drop your utility where you want to. So there is hope on Light's side. Prediction wise, I still feel this is ROC's game to lose, as entering 3-0 in their group and Light's at 0-2. My money and chips are still going to go to the purple.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, if you're taking that educated guess, educated gamble, that is the way you would go. But we have seen crazier things happen before, and this Light Unlimited side certainly have the room to be able to grow into a series and at the very least take a map. And look, if you can take at least one map, anything can happen from there on in. Going over to a raid, Search and Destroy should be an absolute bang out. You know, again, what a fantastic map. I absolutely love seeing this map show up in a myriad of Call of Duties now, it feels, and there's a reason for that. It's because it's absolute quality.
Oh yeah, it's a lovely B site that has this open feel. You've got this lovely A site, again, open feel, but there you have the ability to still move. And I feel this is why this map keeps coming back, is you can push up, you can defend it, there is an equal balance, and it's very rare a map is made almost to perfection. And it's very rare. And I won't sit here and say it's the perfect map. I think people will absolutely scold me if I say it's the perfect map.
Well, I mean, it's up there, right? I mean, do we put it right at the top tier echelon? Maybe not, but I mean, come on. If you're trying to say that this isn't a great map, then I think there's a little bit of cope in there. It's like, is it not great, or maybe you're just not great on it? And that's usually how I judge the majority of my maps, at which point I barely like a map in Call of Duty whatsoever. But map number 2, about to get underway at Light Unlimited versus ROC Esports. Can Light Unlimited answer back?
I hope so, as off to the races the fine gentlemen go once again. And hey, if there's one way you gotta go, start it off at A, the big open pillar, of which almost feels symbolic at this point, but an aggressive defense coming from ROC will get traded out, and we'll have to slow things down as the rotation starts to get pulled in from ROC.
Yeah, and again, rotating out of there once you get pushed up, it's very difficult, as we see in Kicks managing to pick up the kill on Dom, and like, it ends, or not Dom, excuse me, but picking up the kill nonetheless. It just ends up being so difficult to get out. But Light Unlimited actually doing a great job here, now making it a 2 versus 2. Kiwi trying to hold the angle, eventually having to rotate out, and then Kicks providing the cover there, leaving Kiwi all on his own. Knows where to look, but getting decimated nonetheless. Not the best start.
It's not the best start, but again, we're seeing this ROC aggression started to come through, as immediately jumping straight from Laundry to P1 to play around those little plant pots. That's aggressive. You don't see anybody. Nobody see them stand by Laundry or hold that line. Take into account, we've got snipers as well that's allowed in this version, in Black Ops 7. You would want to stay in those positions, but no, there is no fear from ROC. So they're opening frag, massively helping, and then being able to get a cross angle through mid to pillars to get another pick, making it a 3v2 scenario. Perfect.
Oh my, the body stack nearly decimating Light Unlimited there, but they are able to hold on, albeit dropping 2 lives, and this is not the position that you want to be in. And this is getting really worrying for Light Unlimited, because ROC Esports are getting more and more confident at just running them down. They are not even playing with any sort of tactical nous at the moment. They are just flooding aggressively through the middle of the map, and it's working for them because they just know they've got these one-on-one gunfights locked. And because of that, another round going the way of ROC, who, I mean, as I just said, growing in confidence, which is hard to believe considering how confident they felt in that first map.
You'd be surprised how confident these guys can get when you stand amongst them while they're playing live. Oh wow, that's an experience in itself. But yeah, it's very risky to push all through mid. I don't think ROC realized that all of them were going to push there, because a few was going to split off through art, get maybe push down towards A. But as soon as they saw everybody was mid, it was like, okay, let's push B instead. So a quick slip change of decision massively helped. There's already a trade opening things up, and this is where we're seeing Light being stronger, is on this attacking side, as they are able to get the numbers a lot more even than before.
Yeah, and I think the real problem now for Light Unlimited is that they cannot get any modicum of middle control whatsoever, right? They are flowing between sites A and B here, just trying to find an opening, but ROC Esports are always happy to have the player like you're seeing in LD here just sat through the center, which is giving so much more of a better positioning on the pivot to be able to go between these sites. But eventually, you know, Light Unlimited are getting a good chance at getting that bomb down, now forcing ROC to push on towards the site. But again, we've seen their breaking power before. We know that they can be deadly.
Gotta be careful if you are ROC. Overextend too far, you could lose your lives, and Kicks nearly did. 28 seconds left on that clock, and they gotta start pushing. And Kiwi will find LD. And aggression from Aiden will find one. Gets taken down, but reinforcements from Light is staying further back. They're aware they don't need to push this, but Doom's able to find an SMG, making himself somewhat so competitive. Has 10 seconds left on the clock, 7 seconds to defuse, but it doesn't matter. Light able to put one on the board. And that was more ballsy, shall we say. The aggression starting to step up.
Yeah, I mean, look, again, aggression and confidence, I think, from ROC Esports, but also, you know, as on the point of aggression, I'm really liking what I'm seeing from Light Unlimited in terms of that offense and actually holding on with that bomb site, as you say. You know, that moment where they get a little bit aggressive once they have those that strength in numbers trying to run down the clock, that's what catches ROC off guard. Getting sort of pushed up and not just sitting in a corner where ROC is knowingly going to pre-aim you because you're most likely going to be there. Changing the timings, getting the angles, that's the difference maker here. And more confidence, it seems, as Cleamsy gets that first blood with that sniper.
We love a good little snipe. We love it. But Cleam has to back out. The beautiful thing about snipers, it feels amazing. You feel the raw energy, but as soon as you get to that close quarters, that's when you have to dip. And that's exactly what Cleam has tactically done. And right now, Light in a much better position, 1 and 4. That's Aiden and Diddy getting a bit further forward, but thankfully their position will come out on top as the information was given away, and they quickly dip. And now ROC stuck between a wall. Oh, Blaze is a transfer, a spray. That's not an easy task. Light stepping up.
Wow, that is huge. That is absolutely huge. And, you know, I really, again, I like the play. Like, a little bit of an issue, you would think once that snipe comes in from Kicks, you're thinking, oh, here we go. ROC, you know, they're just playing for the site. They're waiting to get the kills before they commit the plant. But, again, like covering each other's angles well, getting a little bit more pushed up mid, which they struggled to do in the first few rounds, so that they can get that trade, then rotate off, and then leave the remainder of the ROC players isolated on that site with nowhere really to run and with everyone knowing exactly where they are. Just a terrific game sense from Light Unlimited, who have grown into this S&D.
They slowly have. They really have taken the right steps, and that, you said it yourself, that mid control was a major problem. But to tell you what, B control, yeah, a little wild right now as Light is really looking for something. Clean will eventually get the nade to take out LD, and LD is going to be probably jumping in his seat, knowing he's done a great job to kick things off. But Aiden, again, able to get tags, but ROC pushing through connector, finding their way through, and before I could even end, ROC able to take one back.
Yeah, look, we know ROC have this in them. I feel like an offense in this map can be very, very difficult if you get nowhere near a site. And, you know, what I will say is that I feel like ROC threw a little bit of a bone to Light Unlimited on the previous offense round in which they won. You know, Light Unlimited managing to get a lot of A site control, kind of relatively uncontested, even though they had no mid control, which was sort of a little bit of a head scratcher. Of course, you know, granted, they utilized it to their full capacity, but ROC Esports aren't going to give you that opening every single round. So you need to find a way to crack the code on the offense yourself.
It almost feels like Light now needs to change up. Oh, God, that was beautiful. Clean, good night, sweet moon. Jesus, beautiful shot, but it's going to be taken back as ROC's able to find answers and bring it all even.
And 2 versus 2, arguably one of the most mixiest rounds we have seen in this search and destroy. As you take a look at as well the map positioning, folks, you have ROC kind of doing that full rotation around the back over towards A, and a split from Light Unlimited, again just wanting the information, but could that cost them, because they will get forced off a site. And Cleamsy, he's playing as if he got the spot. Maybe we missed that. Maybe he did get the spot at someone over at A, but happy to let ROC play the plant here, it seems, which is a risky strategy, it feels, to say the least. Again, a retake ability against a side who seem happy enough to post up. I'm not sure on that strategy. And you have Zidix as well. It's going to take him at least 10 seconds to get towards this site.
Yeah, it's going to take him a little while as we see Kleem quickly on the map. He checked. He saw it. Was there an easy pick? Can I take advantage here? But as soon as he realized nothing was open, takes that step back because Kleem's got the sniper. You have to remember this. He can get an easy pick if he wants to, but the aggression from Azidix is starting to push through. He has found an opening. Now it's a 1v2. They're able to stick together. It will be a trade back and forth. Pistol out. Can he get it done? He can. Kleem finds it. Has to rush the bomb. 7 seconds to the fuse. Finds it. Light Unlimited. What a tactical retake.
A brilliant tactical retake, but a risky one to say the least, right? To take so long to get pushed up. I mean, they just, with their positions, they just almost straight up said, right, we're happy for the first 15 seconds of a bomb plant to just be null and void because we are not going to be there and ready to push in time, right? And I suppose, you know, they played the split, so it would have been the same if the bomb was planted at B regardless. A risky strategy, but one that pays off, one that keeps them in this map and therefore in the series. Big risks, big rewards.
Well, get your heart going. They need to calm theirs down, as this is a great push from Light Unlimited to gain mid control. They have options now. They can go north, they can go south. And they could take control of this entire map, but they've got to play the time right. And that's exactly what Dom might have found. He's found an opening pick and says, thank you, sir. You go slow, I'll play quick.
Yeah, those subs are going to find those angles. If you're not making sure everything is covered, a player like Dom is going to make sure he shuts you down, as Aiden ends up picking up one around the back. And LD picking up one as well. 3 and 6 here to begin with. Not the best search to destroy, and getting ripped to pieces by Aiden, shooting through the wall. Curtains closed. It doesn't matter. He closes your curtains. Azidix now going to try and get this bomb down, but will he be able to get out? He will. This is going to be Dumex now trying to play the retake.
Tiki's a hard place to get killed, and in doing so, Aiden will take advantage. He will be able to give himself a little bit of information, exposes himself, but now Dom's exposed his position by shooting. They can create this pinch maneuver, and Light Unlimited says, thank you very much. We are 2 rounds away from closing out the game.
Yeah, again, another terrific performance from Light Unlimited here, winning an offensive round. I feel like the offenses, they kind of end up being the make or break, right? So you need to be able to get in and win at least a couple of them if you want to win any search and destroy. But managing to get in, getting the bomb down, playing it well, patient, as you say, off the back of each other, and proving that they are no slouches here. But still a lot to go to get over the line, and we've seen what ROC Esports can do. And given the performance difference we've seen between these sides, at least on the respawn, you would kind of think that Light Unlimited have no choice but to make sure they've got the S&Ds locked down.
You would like to think so, 100%, but right now, their main priority is not to think of the past, but they've got to look ahead, because right now, Dom and the rest of his squad have found their way over to A, and this has been read so well. Kicks able to get rid of Clems, who we know has been very dangerous with that sniper. But so is Dom with that SMG, and I almost am getting a little scared, because if Light takes one step wrong, you get killed by Dom, and he doesn't wait around. He goes and starts pushing.
And the trade's coming through, leaving it now in a 1 versus 2. Kiwi against Dumex and Dom. And that bomb is rotating around to B. And what I like about this is that Kiwi seems to be aware he's going to be able to pick up one. But they are going to commit to the bomb plant here. Risky strategy, but I like it. Dumex, bomb down at B, 1 versus 1. How's your bottle? Does it go 4-all, or do we see this go 5-3? These timings are looking iffy.
This is looking very iffy, and it will be Kiwi. Kiwi takes it, and oh my. He has been a savior. I think that's twice he has saved the game for Light Unlimited. That is beautiful. And the way that Kiwi was able to quickly identify, as soon as he pressed down to A, quick survey, right, no one's hit, immediately over to B, which can be risky if a team is playing slow. But with everyone dead that died on A, he knew he had to send it over.
Yeah, just a couple of huge moments going the right way for this Light Unlimited side, who, again, have taken risks, and it's something I've really respected, right? They've not turtled up, they've not played super slow, they've made risky maneuvers, they've tried different things, and they've ultimately worked, and they've not been too bogged down by what this ROC Esports side has been able to do. Because again, folks, if you didn't watch that map number 1, we saw a very confident ROC Esports performance, 250 to 120. It was nigh on domination at points, and it could have been even a more dominant scoreline if it wasn't for the end for Light Unlimited. But slowly, but very surely, growing into this series.
Yeah, LD trying to hold down the fort, trying to keep things alive by the B bomb, but Kiwi's going to get that planted. Light Unlimited with a man advantage on their map point as well. And there you got, in open position, ROC. They need to explode onto point. Able to find clean Doomex. Has to back away, and a new pathway is what ROC needs. They need to find a clean entry and definitely get at least 2 off the map.
Easier said than done, but I love this. I love the watch there from Doomex baiting out the hut holder, and now 2 versus 2, but they got to go quick, and surely they're not going to be able to do it from here, having to try and push off the covered side of the bomb. Cleamsy is just running down that clock, picks off 1, and there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Light Unlimited come away with your map number 2 here, 6-3, in a shocking performance, which puts them right back into this series.
This is huge, but it also goes to show pace of game. Who prefers what and what playstyle? ROC, we said and we saw during that hard point, loves to play fast. They want speed. They want to surprise you. Light Unlimited prefers it slow, and the rounds they won wasn't a case of explosive presence. It was slow, methodical gameplay that allowed them to slowly eke their way onto sites. So this was perfect for them, and there's many examples throughout the game that highlighted this.
Yeah, there's so many examples you can harken back to. I mean, just Light Unlimited on the overall, it is really great to see the way they managed to play in that map. Again, you know, the first couple of rounds, it wasn't looking great, right? ROC Esports, they looked like they were continuing their form back in control. I believe they took the first few rounds, if I'm not mistaken. I think they went 2-0 up, and it looked like that they were just, again, carrying on from map number 1. We had already seen what they could do, that they were going to make life very difficult, and you know, oh, wrong screen. I knew I'd swap to the wrong screen eventually, folks. But yeah, look. There we go. I had to sing. I'm so used to switching to the singular screen. I'm so used to not having a beautiful duo beside me that I went to switch to the singular one. But yeah, it's you know, really great to see that performance from Light Unlimited, the ability that they showed to come back into it, and again the tactical prowess, because what we said at the end of the first couple of rounds, right? Light Unlimited, they had no real control over mid. It seemed like they were floundering and kind of swaying between A and B rotations to see if they could just find a way in. And what I will say, I think the difference maker was there was one point where they did get onto A almost completely uncontested, which I feel like was a turning point where ROC Esports were... I was having questions over how aggressively they were defending sites. They seemed very happy to allow a site to be taken away from them and play the retake rather than making life difficult on that site capture straight away.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. There were a few times that we were seeing a heavy stack towards one site, and they're confident with the rotation, and there's no doubt that they know how to move from one site to another fluidly. They know how to get reinforcements into a position. However, there were a lot of the times when Light did take a free site, they very quickly had those angles covered. They would commit with everybody going there, or if they were committing with 3, they would leave 1 at the opposite end. It was kind of a subtle thing I noticed on the mini map, is that 1 would wait on the outside. So even if ROC started to crumble in and start their counter attack, you then had one last player who could come from the rear or come from a new angle to start taking things away. So that was definitely a disadvantage, I'd say, that ROC played out. But I know why they would do that. I get where it would come handy. The one thing I want to point out was round 6, this very slow retake. So they diffused that round. They were in this post-plant situation. It was slow to start off with. They allowed the clock to run down, and normally when you play slow, you're trying to kind of create this uncertainty for your opponents. And they very quickly learnt sites and positions through not even utility, which I find surprising. And then before you know it, the explosion just kicked in. And I love that change of pace, that change of tempo, which Light was bringing forward in the latter half of the game. And then, of course, round 7, they nailed mid control.
Yeah, I mean, look, the mid control that they ended up getting around 7 was a huge game changer. I do believe we are going into the next game right this second, which I wasn't completely aware of. So we may have an unfortunate difference in the colors here, folks, which you'll have to bear with me on. But we're back into it, and it is ROC Esports versus Light Unlimited on Scar Overload.
Yeah, I think everyone's favorite in terms of Overload. It's a nice balance. It's difficult, but at the same time, if you know what you're doing and know how to manipulate these spawns, because I guess that truly is what this game mode is about, is how can you force somebody in an awkward position. That's how you get these wins. And right now, it is clear as daylight that ROC have been able to, Light have been able to push quite far forward and almost create that pincer maneuver down towards their B site. Just remember, colors are flipped.
Yeah, absolutely, folks. Apologies about that on my end. Wasn't aware that the game was going into start before it did, so didn't get a chance to switch the side. So it is Light Unlimited who are having a pretty decent start here on the overall, but not actually picking up that EMP as of yet. You want to get a lot of mid control, I feel like, in this map before you go anywhere with it, because it is so easy to pivot from A to B on both of these sides that if you don't have mid control, you're just going to get absolutely flooded as soon as you make a jump for that EMP.
Yeah, I'd even say that if you could get to a quarter of the way forward with the EMP, and I'll use kind of the map as an example, going from left to right, quarter left or quarter right, having that control is somewhat so critical as well, because again, if they do spawn south, they're going to try and rotate from the south up, vice versa, from north down. So that's the control we need to see, but we're seeing a little solo play. This looks to be from Clean, who's able to find himself a little bit of a gap and a little bit of an opening, and he does have support of Kiwi, who is there to protect it. It does go in. Beautifully done, and just small control is what they needed.
Yeah, terrific. Just going for the push then at the end up. And that is something I find, I don't know if I'm seeing players do that enough, right? If you're close, just go for it. If you die, if you just about don't make it, if you can play that flood, you don't need to necessarily wait for that last wave of kills. Just move in such an awkward way where you're going to hope that, you know, the enemy player is going to miss that last bullet or so, and that you're going to be able to sneak it through. Doing exactly what you need to do there to get that overload. And this is, at least at this early stage, is screaming of a game where we're not going to see many overloads from either of these sides. So even getting one could be massively important.
I agree. Right now, ROC are struggling. This is not a game mode they're comfortable with. I say that as this is the first time I've seen them actually advance forward and claim control. They've picked up the EMP. They're deciding to use their teammates almost as pawns right now to try and create that opening before doing the final sprint forward. And just when you think you got a bit of an opening, you could already see LD having to back off as he finally drops to the floor as quickly. Light able to sniff out what the strategy was before they can make the push.
Unlucky there from Dom. He spent a long time going on that flank to try and get in behind and picking up one, thinking he'd timed it perfectly for the second, but little did he know the third was there to clean him out of the back and have a lot of wasted time off that flank. But now ROC pick up a nice 3, but that EMP resets just before they can grab it and send it home. My word, that is a sickener.
Oh, just when you've built everything up, you had the site open and you just need one kill to completely be free. It just goes against you, but I'll tell you what, this is perfect! Oh, by a millimeter! They need to quickly get on it and go back, but there's a lot of reinforcements from Light to keep them off. One push and it still can't go through. Brilliant work from Light. They're gonna let that EMP run down the clock. Oh my god, you could put your hand across the line and you would have got it.
Well, that is probably as close as it'll get, and will that be a huge talking point at the end of this series? Time will only tell, but with time now at just 52 seconds left, it is Light Unlimited in this first half, dominant ish, shall we say. 1-0 in the lead, but in a game that's not really high scoring, that 1-0 is going to be massive. ROC Esports, though, are looking more and more dangerous as this round goes on, as they want to try and even this one up before the halftime break. But if they can't, are they going to be able to continue this momentum into the second half, or is it going to feel like a reset having to swap sides? But so far, Light Unlimited are holding on just about.
They're grasping on for dear life. They're deciding to play park the bus almost. If you're a football fan, you know how to defend the goal line. That's what it feels like. They're allowing ROC to push forwards. They're allowing ROC to be aggressive and push into their angles, but there's a little bit of an opening, and this might be a free opportunity. Kiwi able to push forward. Is he going to get spotted? Able to get the kill? No, just before halftime. Ah, so close.
So close to getting the job done and doubling the lead at the end of the first round. But this Light Unlimited side, it took them a while, and after that map 1, you were thinking, hang on a minute, you know, this may not be good for them. But the way that they have adjusted themselves into this series has been so entertaining to watch, because even on the last quarter, you would argue, of the first hard point, they started to show the signs. But going into map 2, back and forth until it wasn't. And from there, they've just looked like a side who were kind of looking like they could be on the receiving end of a 3-0 to now being a side who, at the very least, could take this to a map 5.
Yeah, I think this could go the distance unless somehow Lighters awaken something that we've not heard of, a new strat, or maybe a new player that has just stepped up where they needed to. There are so many questions, because an 0-2 team should not be this confident and be pushing the 3-0 team the way they are. I'm saying that, though, as they've just done a whole clear and got the second in quickly. What is Light Unlimited right now? What is this gameplay from them?
This is just next level, and they are starting to dominate overall on those KDs as well. Dom 7 and 16. You hate to point out a bad KD, but as I always say, in a game that's this tight with players at this level, that one player that isn't pulling up the numbers will be the difference maker, and a double neg is not what you want to see when you are fighting such a hotly contested match. Meanwhile, as you said, Light Unlimited, we are seeing something different from them. We are seeing it gel together as a unit. We have Cleamsy that has just been absolutely dominating so far. 17 and 11 with some pretty strong moments in the search and destroy as well. He has been massive for his side. But for ROC Esports, they've had a couple of moments. All their players have combined together at times, but they haven't maintained that level of consistency that we're now seeing from their opposition.
ROC able to quickly get a 3 off, allowing a bit of an opening, and takes advantage of the score, gets one in to bring it still to a close-knit game. And that 1 minute 30 scoreline that we saw from before, about 1 minute 30 left on the clock for the first half, that might still play dividend here. We'll talk about it more after the map, after this game, about if this makes or breaks. But I tell you what, it definitely feels like ROC has stepped up. Yeah, they allowed one in early, but they're coming out with their fists held high.
Yeah, they're looking to fight back here, ROC. They're looking to try and put the pressure on. And ultimately, with a scoreline like this, it doesn't take too much to flip it if you can apply that pressure. You're not coming from 3 or 4 down. There's only 1 in it now. You've proven you can cap 1. Now we'll be looking to go for that second, but again, it's just finding that wave of kills. You know, you kind of stagnate around the middle of the map for a little bit until you find that opening of being able to push through. The EMP in hand, not able to get out with it though, because guess what? It's Cleamsy who manages to lock it down, now 25 and 14 before getting dropped. But ROC are kind of continuing to deal with the pressure here. They're looking like they're not in too much trouble as of yet, but in saying that, with this position, one wrong move from either one of these sides is going to give up a lot of map pressure.
Oh, it will do. For instance, if Light is able to get a clear onto ROC, they've got a quite easy pathway to bring that EMP to B. But that said, they would have to clear everyone off and be pressured forward. Vice versa, if ROC can get the clear, they could push this EMP quite far up. B, not as easy to put it in. They might take advantage and move this to the north side of the map instead, and it will take advantage of the narrow pathway towards A. But hey, we could see an outlandish strategy come out, but this is difficult. A 2-story motel, it's hard to clear it off and get confidence to move ahead.
Absolutely. Like ROC Esports are going to be really happy just to, or Light Unlimited, excuse me, really happy just to sit and defend here, run down that clock. But I think the EMP was touched, which means there could be a reset in. Again, may be mistaken on that, probably most likely am, of knowing my track record. But now looking at the side of ROC Esports, you've got Kicks out 27 and 18 as well. They are steadily picking up the numbers in terms of the top players, trying to guide them through. They're applying more and more pressure, trying to even just rotate the EMP out of there. And that's what's been the really funny thing about this side, is that they haven't even been trying to push through. They've been literally almost trying to wrap back with the EMP, but there is so much pressure from Light Unlimited around the site itself that they're not even getting the chance to get through. But finally, they've managed to drag it out.
You can immediately see the Light Unlimited putting more players up towards that A side, knowing full well that the rotation will come through. But with our EMP reset, quickly they're able to drop their forces down south, cover the B side, cover that quick push if they want to go through, and create a setup. EMP dropped once again, 30 seconds left on the clock, and now the time is crunching for Light Unlimited to keep this lead. They rotate north, they know A's the pathway, and 20 seconds left to go. They see victory ahead of them.
Oh my, though, 3 kills, but that's the most important one that they've gotten. Getting it cleared out now. They have a chance to push forward. This could be huge. 7 seconds left. With that EMP in hand, they should have time to do it. They just have to make sure they don't drop it, but Light Unlimited, they're hanging on here just about. 30 seconds left to go. Kicks keeps it in hand to buy them slightly more time, but it drops. And Light Unlimited come away with the victory. 2-1 here, to go 2-1 up in a series where at the beginning they looked like they had no way into this one. What a performance once again.
Wow, absolutely wow. And their map presence on there was so good. They just knew where to be, where to stop those rotations. I think I saw Clean sitting up on the balcony over by the EMP on that second half and just waited. He could have popped up, he could have got kills. Nah, he played patiently, waited for the EMP to get claimed, hopped up, bang, able to stop the EMP from moving, create the panic amongst ROC. And in doing so, ROC had to then reset, waste time, even when it was just Clean all by himself. That beautiful positioning helped slow down a very aggressive team.
Yeah, I mean, look, super aggressive from the sides. It really got mixy there towards the end up, right? I mean, don't get me wrong. I think if there was another 60 seconds on the top of that, I think ROC Esports may have gone through and gotten a point, right? I feel like it was starting to edge that way where, you know, we were seeing Light Unlimited really start to fall further and further back when dealing with the pressure. I think getting almost a little fortunate having an EMP spawn sit towards the side of that motel. It gave them a far easier opportunity to be able to sit on that defense, and sitting on that defense, I feel like they almost wasted nearly, if not over 60 seconds there, just being able to kind of run that clock down. But eventually when that EMP was rotated out, we started to see it angle towards the other side of the map. We started to see the damage that ROC Esports could do, and I think in the end up they could have brute forced that position. The only reason that they tried to rotate out in the end was to protect the life, to be able to get the most out of that final 30 seconds of overtime, right? Unfortunately for them, not being able to rotate out. But I mean, look, in terms of where this series could go now going into map 4, for me it's completely up in the air.
It very much is up in the air, and I want to bring one more point, and I said we're going to quickly talk about it. What if? The big what if on the first half. Minute 30 left on the clock. The push was starting to come through from ROC, and their EMP carrier falls short from A. Falls short by an arm's length, and it goes to ask the question, would we have seen a very decent overtime going forward? I think it probably would. It would have made a huge difference, but it was all down to positioning. One sitting from Cafe, one was the other was sitting in Alley, but then you had the entirety of Light who would position themselves around that B side, who'd pushed out to get a sight line clear as daylight onto A. Someone pressed forward by Jeep, who also then had a closer sight line who could get a first pick onto Alley as well. That positioning and the spawns blessed Light, and I will say blessed because that was a bit of RNG that helped save Light to keep themselves in this game, and in doing so, keep the win of the game.
Yeah, I mean, look, ultimately just an absolutely fantastic performance here as we do get ready to get into our map number 4. Should be going any moment now. Again, I want to apologize to the players who have probably seen me leave their lobby just a couple of times. It wasn't letting me adjust the callcaster settings while in their lobby, so I've had to come out, adjust the settings, and then get the re-invite, which has been torridly fun to deal with. But hopefully we'll be back into this one now in just a couple of moments as we once again try and get into the lobby and get ready to go. But going into an exposure hardpoint will be super interesting to see how that one goes. You know, I do think, you know, ROC Esports still by far the most confident team on the hardpoint, so it's looking like we could be going all the way.
Yeah, I would say that Hardpoint, from seeing what they did on the first map on Colossus, it definitely is a map that they are more confident, a mode they are more confident in. I do believe as well, Search and Destroy, we know what they're capable of. They demonstrated a good element. However, the adaptability that we saw from Light to read that gameplay, read the strats and adapt towards it went against them. So I think the best way to describe ROC is they're a little stuck in their way. They have a plan, they'll execute that plan, but the adaptability is the question that we need to see them start to implement. But I say Hardpoint, they're confident, they want it. So theoretically, they should win it again.
Yeah, I think they have it in the bag to win this, right? I mean, look, we're seeing a Light Unlimited side who I think are coming in as a very different side to who played in that map number 1, right? I think we have seen them really grow into the series, grow in confidence, and I think we'll go into this one feeling like they can win it, and rightfully so. They should feel like they can win it, but the ability to winning it, to be able to win it, and actually winning it, two very, very different things. And ROC with their back against the walls could turn into a whole different beast here, but time will only tell. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a terrific series so far. Thank you so much to all the new followers who have come through and who are just here to check out the game. Massively appreciate you. It's only going to get even better as we load in to map number 4.
Well, off to the races. The fine gentlemen go for yet the 4th time. Yep, we're on that 4th map, and immediately they converge all over to that P1, and we saw a bit of aggression from Dom. We thought there was a possibility that he could get a flank coming through, but quickly Light says no. All while this is happening, where do you want to be for P2? You want to be north. You want to be north, up by the tank, and claim control. Right now, I would say probably ROC has that control.
Yeah, ROC so far complete mid-control already, keeping Light Unlimited very pushed back. And you know, one thing that has to be said, that for the most part in respawns has been a consistency of ROC. They are far better at controlling those, what I would say, other than spawns, those more important sides when it comes to whether it's the middle of the map, whether it's a rotational cross. They've had a lot more of that on lock, but the difference has been that at the beginning we were seeing ROC Esports combine that with an ability to be able to outslay, whereas Light Unlimited slowly but surely on these respawns have flipped that around to now it's where, hey, we know you're in these positions, we know you should have the advantage, but we're going to be able to pick up these kills anyway, and we're going to disrupt your hold on the map, which means that ROC haven't been able to make the most out of the opportunities that they've been creating for themselves via that map dominance. So it's been a huge difference maker for this Light Unlimited side to just be able to pull up the raw numbers in kills, but for the moment it's a little bit slower for this hardpoint, and that's showing on the scoreline.
Yeah, it is a lot slower, and it almost feels like Light are just pushing one by one right now. There's no regrouping, there's no slowing down. They're trying to almost just keep like a blitzkrieg style of gameplay. Just keep attacking and see what comes from it. But it's just not working, because even when they had some form of positioning, also quickly LD was able to just push around the corner and say, well, thank you, sir. I'm just going to take advantage of the entire situation, and pushes them away.
And Doom X as well on 9-2, by the way, on a 5 spree and nearly 1 minute in hill. This is clean and pushed out as well, quite advanced to hold mid. This runs the risk of being very dominant once again. The trades eventually coming through, so Light Unlimited will actually be able to work a little bit of a pinch here onto the point, but Dom reading one, nearly reading the second, but that's been again the difference. You've had Zidix and Cleamsy picking up the numbers here and actually being able to successfully break through, and potentially going to have some good time. But in saying that, Kix has done a great job around the back to once again try and orchestrate a pinch, but a couple of lives dropping means he's kind of the last one there. And Dom now trying to get through the front. Again, making it scrappy here, it has to be said, and Light Unlimited done a great job of breaking through, but haven't been able to make as much of that P3 as they would have wanted to in the end up, as ROC continue in the ascendancy.
20 seconds on the of points is still decent. I definitely wouldn't walk away and say that was a bad hill from Light. They can keep their heads held high and say, yep, all right, we know we can beat them. We know we can hold down this point. Now you move over to P4. Again, another confined space and the smallest point of them all. So you've got to trust one person to stay on point and get everybody else waiting around the outside to keep the sole person alive. But with 2 people on point, the respawns haven't fully come in. Kaleem does the job beautifully and is able to keep the point still contested for now. Will lose it, but don't worry, his team have spawned in to help out.
I mean, we might need that on an instant replay, folks, for those of you who may be watching this back on a VOD, because I think I did see a little bit of a body shot come in there from Clean, or maybe he just was pre-firing through the body for potentially a second person. We'll need VAR review on that one, I think. But we also need to continue to take a look at Doom. We've mentioned him already. Now 16 and 6. 1 minute in Hill. Having another 2 kills there. Going to make it 3. This is utter dominance. And to be honest, against a side who have grown back into this series like Light Unlimited, it is Doom X just being a difference maker here for a side. Immaculate performance so far, triple positive, continuing to rack up time on a P5 while his side dominate mid, which, as you know, for this point, you need mid control if you want to hold on to this site.
Oh yeah, you need it dramatically. You need to make sure that you are able to see every angle. You've got to be able to cover what comes forward because of that cheeky rotation, that crate that could just be annoying will come and bite you in the rear end. But Light Unlimited have done a fantastic job while we've been talking about how critical mid is, have decided, you know what, let's not fight it to its integrity, and instead they've just pushed the point. They've claimed point. A beautiful break to upset that momentum that ROC has.
Yeah, I mean, look, a great upset, but what has to be said, I think, is that even though, you know, they may feel poised and may feel confident going into a map 5. Of course, they won't want to go to a map 5, but I don't think they're doing enough here to stop us from going to a map 5. Yes, they're having their moments, but they've yet to show a situation where they hold a 40-50 and keep ROC completely off a point. ROC, once again, on a P1, which they have felt very confident at based off the last time around, and we've seen the way they've rotated through points and make Light Unlimited fight for every single position that they've had, because let's not get it wrong here, Light Unlimited have done a terrific job at making things awkward, but after a whole rotation have only gotten 60 points from that. Plus, we're starting to see a huge difference in the KD disparity now as Doom X continues to pop off alongside Kicks not doing too badly himself. It's just making too much of a difference here. Light Unlimited, they're gonna need to start slaying out.
Yeah, it's a lot of it is ROC are focusing more on what's next. They're not, when it comes to that 30-second mark, you almost see them not push players back onto the original point. They want to go to next, and that's the critical thinking you need to be. 30 seconds in, yeah, I can still fight for those points. I could go and build that scoreline, or I can make my life easy, defend the next point, make it difficult that if Light does rotate in, that I have somebody there to anchor, to slow them down and allow the rest of my team to come through. And that's what we're seeing as difference. Yes, I would say Light are breaking better, hence why they're still somewhat so in the game. But that's all they have. They have good breaks, but their holds to be died for.
Oh my God. Making the most out of that streak, getting the triple, which means ROC should be good for the rest of this time. And now what's looking like a successful rotation over towards P3. A game that was a 60-point game has very quickly turned into one that looks like it could be a 100-point game unless Light Unlimited change things around quickly. They are continuing to dominate here, and they have complete P3 control. It's going to be up to Aiden to try and rotate around the back and be a thorn in the side of ROC Esports, but he also needs his teammates to pick up the kills from the front lanes.
Look at the stack as well inside. This is going to be so hard to break. They're not putting anybody around the outside because they know they have this point on lock. Dom and Doom X able to keep things in check. 20 seconds done on this P3 site, and I would even question the ability to break this. It almost feels like it's on lock right now.
Yeah, well, when you realize that you're picking up the majority of kills, if you just play the stack, the numbers will usually work in your favor. But of course, as soon as I go to make that point, Light Unlimited decide we're gonna prove you guys completely wrong and be able to break through. But unfortunately, only for a modicum of scrap time, which will get them over the 100-point mark. But still, so much of an uphill battle left to fight. Whereas ROC Esports don't look like slowing down and are increasingly looking like that they are going to take us all the way to a map 5.
I feel ROC just heard you say make your point and went, nah, we can't let that be fully true.
No, we can't have him be right all the time. We don't want this guy casting elites again. We need to prove him wrong from time to time. What's he doing here? This is the big boys playground, baby.
You don't belong here. You gotta be somewhere else. No, of course you belong here. But I tell you what, who does belong? Light Unlimited really step up. This is a better performance from the first map that they played. This definitely looks more alive for a hard-pointed Zinix. Dancing around to finally get the kill. Come on, man. Liam will be able to fend off the rear end of the door. They're just playing dance around. I know this room's small, but please keep it in check.
Well, listen, you know, what we're seeing from Light Unlimited here in terms of making it scrappy, they had a very similar output in the back half of the previous hardpoint that they played. And again, we weren't sure as whether or not if that was ROC Esports taking their foot off the gas pedal, but ROC have rotated really well. So this is a tough ask to break into P5, but I feel like Light Unlimited have almost given up trying to rotate and have started to rely on their breaking power because they've proven they can break. But they're going to have to break in quickly here. They do not want ROC to get too close to the finish line off this point.
Yeah, and they have done a fantastic job as they are able to jump into point as well. ROC were a little scared to jump in, knowing that they would reveal their position. And in doing so, one free pick, and now look who's on point. Light Unlimited. I would probably say this isn't a too far-fetched to ask for a comeback scenario. However, 1, 2, and 3 have been ROC Esports dominated hills, so it is a tall order to say that there could be a comeback story ahead of us.
Well, look, we said at some point they need to hold a clean point, and I think that has been P5. It's just how you transition back to P1, and you have ROC Esports who are going to be able to hop off the scrap time, only needing another 38 points for that victory. Or is it 28? My brain, I think it's just 28. Excuse me, guys, I'm so sorry. The multitasking has made the math even worse as Light Unlimited trying to find a way to slow down a ROC side who are now in arguably their most confident point on all the points, which is P1, and actually doing a good job of keeping them off it.
Yeah, having to see a double attack onto Clean just to clear up top of P3 and to somewhat so give them a bit of breath, because once again, Light Unlimited are keeping ROC off point. However, they're not claiming, so it's neither here or there. And just to be clear, and something we've not realized, 1 minute 40 on the game clock as well. So Light Unlimited, they're slowly making their way. They are in a full 60-point region where they can, in theory, get a full hill and take the win of the game. So they are in contention to close out if they want, but they've got to rotate to P2. They have players further north, which is going to help them, but they need to start pushing. Clean needs to push up and take advantage of this new point.
Well, look, I'm liking the way Light Unlimited played this on the overall because they're playing to put priority on the P2 and then P3 fallback, but none of that will matter if you can't pick up the kills and if players are going to come in and get a 3-piece and wipe you all out in the process as Doomex picks up one. That is going to be that. No strategy will counteract that one as ROC Esports poised to take this map right here and now. 250 to 188, but Aiden's streak keeping them off just about, but only delaying the inevitable. 250 to 188 in the end up, and we're going to a map 5.
Oh, that was more intense. That's more like the lights that we've been seeing over the last two maps, and they just continued. They continued the pressure, but clearly something about hardpoint just doesn't fit well, and that answer is rotations. Unless they completely sacrifice the site, that multitasking of rotating to a new point as well as holding good strength on the previous one doesn't exist. ROC has that nailed, and that's why we saw them trickle their lead in the early phases, is through that ability to multitask, to trust that last guy on point and then slowly rotate over to new. Have somebody there to deny the rotation coming in from light. they need to work on that bit. I think once Light nails the rotations, be able to win these rotation fights, then we could maybe see a hard point win from Light. But we're going to S&D on Scar, and I always find Scar is the biggest question mark map just from its layout, because you just do not know what can happen.
Absolutely, so many questions to be asked of what will happen in Scar. But ladies and gentlemen, in case this is your first time joining us here this evening, to give you the recap: Colossus hardpoint 250 to 120. ROC Esports with a confident performance where Light Unlimited towards the back end showed glimmers, but they were very, very faint glimmers, but ones, they were sparks that rose into flames, you could argue, going into maps 2 and 3, as they managed to take the victories there on Raid and Scar respectively, and looked like they were dominant enough to win the entire series. But always aware of what ROC could do on the hard points, they brought it back with a confident performance, 250 to 188, and improved. Light Unlimited was still no match for the KD disparities that ROC Esports ensued upon them. 250 to 188 once again with phenomenal KDs, again showing the levels that they can bring when they're feeling comfortable on a map. But I'm sure neither team could be feeling comfortable at this point going all the way in this series. I don't think this was in the cards at all.
I don't think ROC had this in the cards. Reminder as well, just in terms of the elite groups that they are in, this is Group B. Light Unlimited coming in 0-2, while ROC Esports coming in at 3-0. They have been ROC have been absolutely dominating throughout, and I think the go-to favorites for EMEA. However, this isn't the only upsets we have seen. I mean, look at North America, the FaZe Academy out. So it's as I said to Enigma in a tweet, it's very much when it comes to cups, everybody's, you know, relaxed back in their chair or chilled, but as soon as it's elites and any form of major, you always can just feel the energy as they lean forward and closer to their desk.
Yeah, you can always just feel the energy where it's like, yeah, this is do or die. This is where it matters. So, you know, again, I'd be very curious to see, or to wonder at least, what's going through the heads of these players at this stage now as we get ready to go into map 5. We're going to try and get ourselves into the lobby as quickly as we possibly can. But I do wonder, like, you know, who is the team that's going to be feeling a little bit more put out by this, right? Are Light Unlimited annoyed they haven't been able to do it, and, like, get the job done till now, or ROC Esports, or are they both kind of understanding of the fact that, yeah, damn, this has been a hell of a series here, and, you know, it was always going to be a tough one to get over the line?
I feel that Light Unlimited are going to have that spur of boost of confidence. ROC is an established name, and we talk about ROC, we know what they're capable of. They've been strong in the Challenger Cups. They've been strong even in Black Ops 6 as well. We know you don't mess with ROC. That is a flat out statement that we just know. Light Unlimited, they're going to respect that hardpoint's clearly something they've practiced really well, losing heavily by over 100 points on Colossus. Okay, but getting that victory on Search and Destroy is the best feeling and the biggest momentum shift. They've now taken that, carried it into Overload. But then you know that you got a hard point afterwards. They are aware that that is a weakness that they carry. So if I'm Light, I'm going to be sitting here going, okay, we've won a Search and Destroy already. We can beat them at that game mode, and convincingly, 6-3. So I think in Light's mind, they're happy. ROC, I feel they're scared. I would say right now, they are scared because they could have the biggest upset in EMEA challenges.
An upset certainly on the cards as map number 5 is about to get underway. Ladies and gentlemen, in the chat we have a hell of a lot of people watching at the moment, and I'd be very curious to hear from y'all who you think is going to come out on top. Are ROC Esports going to lock it down, or Light Unlimited going to come through with the upset? Best of luck once again to both of these teams who've given us one hell of a series. One more map to go. Make sure that you don't let down the pressure you've been putting up so far. Map 5 is underway.
Well, it's definitely going to be a do or die feel. Off to the races for the final time. The fine gentlemen go. And even I feel the pressure. I feel the nerves. that will start to creep in amongst each player, knowing that just one wrong step could cost them the game.
I mean, absolutely. I'm shaking in my boots right now. I can't handle the pressure. I wonder how the players feel as ROC Esports trying to get their way towards A. But I mean, you already see with the setup, it is super spread out. It is waiting for those peaks and it is trying to get the picks. It is nothing fancy, but managing to take out the sniper of Cleam. That's a big first blood.
Yeah, how you win against a sniper who was looking directly at you as well. Brilliant start if you are of the ROC side, but a quick trade will come in advantage of Light Unlimited. They now have the man advantage, but in doing so, a trade again will come through. LD left alive to find a clutch to open this game. A large rotation through the rear, caught himself out in the open, definitely with his pants down. He didn't expect that one coming through.
No, absolutely not. And not what you want to see after getting a first blood. But again, Light Unlimited doing a great job of slowing things down, dropping a player, but making sure just to be there for the trades and then taking the opportunities as they come. I feel like they are a side who are certainly going into the search and destroys more confident, but Scars, it's a very different beast of a map, right? And you could look at it as, yes, Light Unlimited, they've won a search and destroy already and they've won a Scar already, but when they combine together on a search and destroy, they are two very different beasts of a map.
Oh yeah, you got sightline upon sightline. I would even deem this sniper heaven. This map has so much capability, so if you don't get rid of Cleam early, you could see yourself staring down the barrel of even more problems. And Aiden, well, it's something about that little corner, isn't it, of the balcony that has a perk, and Aiden getting the first pick, opening things up for Light Unlimited, will finally get traded and level things out once again. But nonetheless, progression can find their way through.
Great pick. Another great pick from Doomex. He's picked up a couple already here. 3 and 1. He's waiting for the push. That doesn't come. Meanwhile, Kiwi in a little bit of not so much trouble. Getting a couple of shots around the backside of B, but rotating out. And I believe Dom, recognizing the rotation, is cutting in through the mid. But now that bomb is down on A. It's going to be a 2 versus 3 defense. But Kiwi doing a great job to pick up the first.
Kiwi, good map knowledge, good game sense. He's caught out in a little bit of a predicament. Kicks will say thank you very much. 1v2 though for Ziddy. 30 seconds left on the clock. A lot of time to defend, but it just can't come through. It's not the best post-plant position, but I don't think he was wanting to be there.
No, absolutely not. And you know, I have to say, I really like that retake from ROC, right? They just played it in such a way where we're going to have one hop the wall coming out the door and one play deep in the back. Just, again, these little subtle movement changes that do such a good job of distracting your aim. Who do I shoot at? And by the time you figured that out, you've been wiped off the board by the two of them. Even if he was able to get one there, he was certainly not picking up them both. So discipline from ROC Esports, doing what they had to do. Light Unlimited a little bit stuck in that position as they get flooded out of the site.
Mental reset for both teams. They know that they can face each other evenly this time, unlike from the previous search and destroy where ROC were able to go 2-0 up in this same time. Light able to get the first round, but now getting countered by ROC. Seems pretty even on paper. This rotation, look at 3. Doom aggressively forward, and B site partially open for the taking.
Yeah, and an incredibly rare B push might be actually working out, but interestingly enough, almost had B pushed out and then decided to cut back to A. Maybe trying to drag Light Unlimited over towards watching B to give them a little bit more of an inroads to A. Surely should be able to get this plant down with the numbers advantage. The grenade is coming through. Will it hit? The nade went through both ways, with Doom and Dom picking up kills respectively. ROC Esports take the most confidence offense as of yet, I would say.
It's I would definitely agree, a very rare push to see B coming through. I think every time I've watched Scar from the pro scene, from challengers, it's always been A push, because there's a lot of cover that comes with it. B is risky, it's open, it's exposed, and all you need to do is put one person who's looking that direction and they could just start a gun range, like a D-Day landing, just straight up a bullet spray down. The other person sitting by church is mainly looking at mid and A. So I think this might be a strat that could come forward, and I'm loving this, actually. Kicks aggressively forward on B, which can allow him options to rotate behind Light to Line.
Yeah, there is certainly the option there, but will he take it? Again, do you take those risks at this stage in a map 5? It's looking like he's not. He's going to sit back because you also have Klimsey, who is, I think, aware of the potential threat there, now going to take a peek. Doesn't spot him, but certainly does now as he's nearly ripped through the wall. But LD managing to pick up the first blood here of the round. Answered back, though, by Aiden. 3 versus 3. The pace picking up, but a little bit of a reset now as we see Light Unlimited once again try to break down this A.
All lower picks, just little shoulders, get that information, see the bullet spray through. That's what Light are trying to force. While this is going on, it almost solidifies that this is going to be an A push, especially as Aiden is so far forward. That option to rotate, non-existent.
Absolutely not. And now we are seeing, let's say, that flank come through. Will that count for much here? A huge kill. The bomb is going down, but I'm looking at this position from Kix, who's going to be around the back. Surely going to pick up at least one. Going to try and make it a second here. Aiden's been made one shot, and LD picks up the kill. Kix going to come through with the defuse, and I don't want to call this thing too early, but
don't do it.
I'm looking at this one now. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. I am so sorry. I'm not sorry, but I'm sorry. I'm looking at this ROC Esports side and the problems that they are causing Light Unlimited. Now, Light Unlimited have proven me wrong already in how they can adjust in the game. But there's very little to adjust, I feel like, in a Scar Search and Destroy from an offensive and defensive side of things. And I feel like I'm watching a Light Unlimited side who are maybe already starting to run a little low on ideas. Again, I'm there to be proved wrong.
I urge you from the biggest depths of my heart, do not call the game early, and I'm glad you did not, because I have made that mistake. But I will second the motion that the ideas feel very limited. It feels very, from an offensive perspective, yeah, it feels very limited and not creative. However, we still have plenty more rounds to go, and an aggressive A push allows 2 picks to come through. And I tell you what, defense is not a problem for Light. They know how to lock this down. And after that A splurge, a quick fan out, cover all angles in case of a rotation coming through.
And, you know, it gives interesting, cause for thought for ROC having, or had only really A or B, should I say, be their only successful site in terms of an offensive push. Now will Light Unlimited recognize that ROC might go there the next time around, or are ROC going to just continue to try and double down at A? But if they are going to do so in future offensive rounds, they're certainly need to going to do so better than that as Light Unlimited pull around back in fashion with, as you say, a very clean and confident hold.
It was too clean. Too clean. That aggressive push on A, it almost gives that kind of a wake-up call. And I think what made it worse, and this is kind of like a pet peeve I have with Call of Duty and the players, is that the fact that you see the bomb carrier being at the head of the group, like, that's just gonna call for problems in a later stage. And it did. The bomb got dropped by Fire Motel, and you couldn't recover it. You couldn't create that rotation to B.
Yeah, not working out, but this time ROC on their defense going super aggressive towards that B to get a pick and then pull back out. And now Light Unlimited have to restart again, but this time a player down. Still angling a little bit towards this B side, but not really going to get anything. The trade's coming through to make it a 3 versus 2. And Light Unlimited claims a huge pick. We've seen him a number of times get important picks throughout the series. Not so much in this game, but making it a 2v2 could be huge.
Yeah, he's been losing those 1v1s, and I'm sure he just wants a victory, but they need to be careful. There's somebody sitting on the top of the stairs. It looks to be LD, who's been waiting there patiently, but Aiden will get caught in that little trap down to that critical 1v1. And you have to take a breath in these moments. 29 seconds left on the clock. Bomb's not been planted. Dom will have bomb position. He knows he just has to wait until it gets collected. And Clem, oh, he's not waiting around. He jumps right into the crosshairs of ROC as he tries to do a cheeky rotate to B. He just needs to turn on his heels and go towards A. But hindsight, is 2020.
Which is actually 6 years ago now, just to make everyone watching at home feel a little bit old. My God. That's how long ago COVID was. But in this game, it has to be said, ROC have just had a huge moment. The difference between 4-2 and 3-3 is stark, and a little bit of luck, I think, in the timing and the angles that were being pushed for the side of ROC. But when you go down to a 1v1, though, that is the difference maker. That's what you never really want to be in those scenarios. But ROC now just 2 rounds away from pulling this one back. Light Unlimited, they're running out of time to lock in.
Time is not looking great, but I've always wanted a comeback story. This is the time to create that comeback story. Zilix just needs to be careful, because one peek, one little bit of information, and that ROC player who's just on the other side could make a difference. Instead, he crawls from underneath. Dom able to do one, can't find a second. Opens up the door to a level playing field, but the bomb finally getting moved. It looks like it's going to go towards A. I think Light have slightly read this as well. A lot of southern positioning and southern angles coming forward.
Yeah, I wonder if they're just happy to play with this bomb going down, getting hit with the stun there, committing to the plant. Is he going to be able to get off the site with his life is the big question, but you have a double flank coming around the back here, which could be a huge cause of concern for ROC, but they need to kind of get quick with it, and they do, picking up one. Now you're probably going to have Clemsy get pushed up as well to cause the pinch. This has been sort of a terrific flank around the back, which has pulled Light Unlimited or ROC out of their positions. But now 1 versus 1. Oh my God, he's hopping it. Is he going to get it?
He's committed.
He's not.
You know, that's something I would do.
Oh,
and I can tell you from experience, do not do anything I do. I have the worst advice when it comes to strategy in games. I'm so narrow-minded, and it did come. Clem saw some quiet moment, took the opportunity to go for the cheeky ninja. It didn't play off, and in those pressure situations, the time's running low, you have to think, do I go for the stick to the fuse, or do I go for that fight? If I go for that fight, there's no guarantees I'm going to win it, and then I could lose according to the time. It was never a winning situation for Clem.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, potentially the final round of what has been an immaculate series to watch. ROC up 5-2, Light Unlimited on the offensive push. They do not want to drop this first blood. It is getting aggressive through mid, trying to get these picks, but LD picking up the first blood, Kicks picking up the second, and Light Unlimited in massive trouble. It should be done, and it is.
You had to say how critical it was. Caster's curse at the final moment. But either way, even though we looked into this game, I was thinking to myself, I never said it out loud, this is going to be a landslide. ROC Esports, I said in my head 3-0 straight away. I will stand corrected. Light Unlimited can hold their head high, even though they are now 0-3, and ROC Esports will be at a 4-0. They have come out guns blazing, and they have caused some upsets. Look at that Scar Overload. Look at that Raid Search and Destroy. That screams a team with potential. A little bit of fine-tuning, and maybe we could be seeing them come the latter stages towards the majors, because remember, a lot of challenger work at the majors. Light Unlimited could be a force to be reckoned with.
Absolutely. Massive congratulations to ROC Esports for that victory. Commiserations to Light Unlimited, who, again, as we got to say, they put on one hell of a series, right? ROC were going into this the favorites. They looked like an incredibly strong team. I've had the opportunity to watch them before, and they are a team that when they start firing on all cylinders, there's not many teams that can deal with them. But Light Unlimited proved that they could, put some kinks in the armor, right? They proved that they could, be their undoing from time to time, that they could stop them from playing how they want to play, that they had the answers on certain maps. But I think on the overall, when it just came to that slaying power, they just didn't have enough, and I feel like that really rang true on the hard points where ROC felt most comfortable, right? I mean, if you were to kind of judge a series on a slaying by slaying basis, it would have been ROC's all day long. I think Light Unlimited done a great job of, playing from that position where, on the one-on-ones, you're not quite as up there, and being able to adjust around it, whether it be tactically, how you play as a team, when you push angles, whatever it may be. Immaculate at that. But from raw slaying ability, for the most part, I think ROC had it in the bag. And for Light Unlimited, I think it is just a case of picking up the kills a few more times, because I go back to those hard points and, you know, positionally not too bad from time to times, and the way that they were able to, again, push ROC off the comfort zones and play the trades. They just need a player who's able to come in there and go on a near double positive run and be kind of a star shining through the side to swing hard points the other way.
Yeah, it's like bringing your own dom into the place, and that's something we saw from the first hard point. Doom, 7-piece to then follow up a 10-piece. That's the type of player you need to step up. And, you know, with roster mania constantly happening amongst challengers, I would not be surprised if that change does come through for somebody who is a bit of a star power, who can bring something forward. But I feel also that that Light needs to really focus on rotations on their hard points. There's something we did see a lack of, and just having that confidence to leave somebody to just defend the site, that person who can anchor. Someone like Clem need to put more trust in their abilities to lock down, stay, and then the rest of the team go elsewhere. And I think once they nail that confidence, and I think it's purely confidence level, because let's be honest, they're way better than I am, and they always will be. But once they get that nailed, who knows what that Light team could be? There is no endless possibilities.
Absolutely. That Light team has a lot of room to grow, but meanwhile, ROC, I think, really strong performance from them. Congratulations to them once again, and that's where we're going to leave it for this broadcast this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for coming in to tune into this game. Actually, the first sort of challengers that I've run my own coverage for here on the Zepcast channel, and there has been so many followers coming through who've shown support. Thank you all very much for that. We are going to be hopefully helping out with more throughout the cups that do happen throughout the season, just kind of here to help out where I can. So thank you very much for the support, and thanks very much to yourself, Hyperactive, as well, for giving your free time to come in here and help cover this today. Again, you know, folks, we're young men. There's plenty we could be doing with our weekends, but we come here to play some Call of Duty. All right, you know, that's what we love. We love to go in here and give a platform for these games to be shown. And, you know, also massive shout out as well to the players. They have been really accommodating today in allowing us to cover the game again in a world where, you know, sometimes it's not as easy to make sure that your games are covered. I just want to give the credit where credit is due to players who make the process so easily, kind of waiting for my go ahead, making sure that I had everything ready on my end to give the best coverage possible. So thank you to the players, thank you to the teams. Once again, thank you again to Hyperactive. I've been Zep. It's been an absolute pleasure, and we'll see you in the next one, whenever that may be.